Welcome to this week's show with Hometown Hero Outdoors. We are in Maine hunting moose with Army veteran Brent Fowler.
Hey everyone, Chris Tatro here with Hometown Hero Outdoors. We're in Bridgewater, Maine with the Veterans Afield Foundation. We're just wrapping up a moose hunt. We've been here for a few days, having a good time. We're here with our combat veteran, Brent Fowler. He has a very touching story, an individual who's been through quite a bit. This week's been special for him in order to get out and pursue a moose, but at the same time be able to create new friends, create new family, and we couldn't do this without the Maine Warden Service. Want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Megan Orchard. I work for the Maine Warden Service. First of all, I want to say thank you to all our combat veterans out there. This is a great program that we have with allowing combat veterans to come in and help out our broccoli farmers here in Aroostook County with a depredation problem with the moose. It's absolutely a once in a lifetime, and we hope to host many more combat veterans, not only for the hunting experience, but for the experience off the field with one another and getting to know lots of new friends and people that understand what they've been through. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we have one last hunt tonight. I want to say a big thank you to our guides, Dave, for being the host of this. Dave's been a phenomenal individual, so is his wife, feeding us really well. But at the same time, we want to encourage everyone to continue putting in for these trips. This trip was really hard to pick. A lot of individuals and veterans put in for this trip. Not even an easy task going through all those and trying to figure out who you want to take. So I encourage you to continue putting in for this trip. We hope to come back next year. So enjoy the video. It's going to be a good one.
Hometown Hero Outdoors was tasked with finding one veteran with combat-related issues to hunt with the Veterans Afield Foundation for a moose depredation hunt. Dave Hentosh, founder of the Veterans Afield Foundation, has been hosting these hunts since 2004. The veterans arrived for a briefing and a meal to begin their stay.
There's a biological side to this and a crop damage side, so we're doing a job for the farms. From our perspective, the moose is the excuse. This is an opportunity for combat veterans to get together, enjoy time in the field, time around the dinner table and a campfire, and that's the most important part.
I call it a win-win-win because the department wins because we have a moose problem. The farmers win because it helps them. And then the vets win because you guys all get together.
That's the biggest reason why we're here, and to give back to you guys just a slight amount of what you guys gave to us.
It's the best user group. We appreciate you guys and your service to the farm, and it's made it really flexible and dynamic, and it's still working exactly the way it should.
The resource is being used, you guys are benefiting from it, and basically everyone's happy. You know, and that moose is going home and going to fill a lot of bellies, happy bellies when it goes that way. So.
I'm Brent Fowler from Tabor City, North Carolina, known as the yam capital of the world. When I was in Tabor City, things I liked to do was play baseball. I enjoyed pan fishing a lot, fishing for bass some, hunting squirrels and raccoons, sometimes deer, but not that often. The thing that inspired me to join the military is when I was 11 years old, I watched Oliver Stone's movie, Platoon, and from that moment I was hooked and I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I joined the military at the age 17. I had to have my mother sign for me. My basic training was conducted at Fort Benning, Georgia, from August of 1993 until December of 1993. During that time, I got to learn different weapon systems that the infantry used and just building camaraderie and lifelong friends. And my first duty station was with Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion, 9th Infantry Regiment, Manchus. Upon completing drill sergeant school at the end of 2002, I was assigned to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for 3 years. After Fort Jackson, I was able to go back to the center of the universe, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And at this point, it was July of 2006. And during this deployment, we got to do what infantrymen really want to do. We primarily staged out of one area, and we're constantly conducting raids throughout the Helmand province. That first deployment ended up getting extended 3 months, so it went from January of 07 to April of 08, 15 months. We returned back to Fort Bragg. We continued on training, and it wasn't long we found out we were going back to Afghanistan in 2009.
Brent accompanied by guides Mike Swim and Ricky Watton, began their pursuit of a moose. The morning was a brisk 22 degrees, and there was plenty of moose sign in and around the agriculture fields. Mike calls and surveys the low-lying wetlands. No moose this morning. After each hunt, the veterans regroup at the lodge. Plans for the evening hunt are made with their guides. And the resident lab gets some love too. Fields are revisited prior to dusk. But no moose this day. Veterans are greeted with a warm homemade meal after each hunt. Stories are shared and camaraderie is built.
This was July the 13th, 2010. We'd been in country for about 9 months, and they wanted to do the surge into Kandahar. So they moved our entire company within Kandahar's area. But the one thing that happened is myself, my first sergeant, platoon leader, squad leader of mine, and a team leader and one of our soldiers, we had to go speak to the battalion commander about one of the patrols. As we waited outside to be called inside the TOC, we heard a loud explosion. AK fire started, PKM fire started. We grabbed our equipment and we moved to a position approximately 25 meters from the breach point. We get hit with a grenade. My one friend, Sergeant First Class Jimmy Hill, our battalion engineer NCO, he took quite a bit of shrapnel, and I was able to help him get up and get inside the TOC to receive treatment. And we start hearing these explosions that are even louder. We said, we need to move, we need to fill that breach. We started moving, and there was a bright flash, a loud boom, and I got knocked backwards. It took me a second once I got on a knee to gather my wits. I get up, and I see someone laying on the ground. I go over there and I grab them, they still will not get up. At this point, we shined a light and we saw that it was my platoon leader, Lieutenant Christopher Gakey. Christopher Gakey had taken a suicide bomber from about 3 meters away. Had it not been for Chris, I wouldn't be here today. I owe my life to him. So we get Chris's body, we're able to move him inside. You know, we get him covered up, we go back outside, and we have to continue the fight. There's no way we can just stop and grieve at the moment. Suicide bombers are hitting our living areas, our medic, our aid stations. They were just 6 of them in total is what happened. As we get things situated, we begin pulling security. There's no longer a threat, and we're moving around. It starts to set in what really happened. You know, here I am an arm's length away from Chris, and Chris is no longer here. And about a month later, we went home. But weighing on me was Chris. I could not get past it. I felt for the longest time that it should have been me instead of Chris. And to this day, I still have that survivor's guilt. And at times, it's really difficult to push through that and get on with even a single day. Sometimes it's hard to get out of the bed.
Ricky and Brent take to the fields on a wet and rainy day. They find fresh moose sign from the previous night. The rain does not dampen their spirits, but the moose refuse to cooperate.
But once I returned home, I had orders to go to Eglin Air Force Base to 6th Ranger Training Battalion to be a ranger instructor. And then I finished my last year and a half in the S3 shop because I was retiring. But what really helped me is I had a couple of good friends that kept telling me, you need to go see someone. Took the hint, and I went to the Myrtle Beach VA. I met a counselor named Debbie Jackson, and she would not give up on me. The greatest quote I took from her that I tell other guys now that may be suffering is, you can deal with it now or you can deal with it later. And she was 100% absolutely correct. So they allowed me time to work through the progression of counseling. They let me decide when I wanted to try some type of medication. And eventually I did. And I realized it did help. And with their help, with help of family and friends, I decided I would go to college. Here I am, 41 years old, starting college. I graduated in May of 2021 with my education degree in history, a Bachelor of Arts in History. And since then, I've been substitute teaching. But between the counseling, the friendship, the family, going to school, and then beginning the substitute job, it gave me something. It gave me the chance once again to be part of a team. My brother, he started pushing me to look at different organizations, sign up for trips and see what was out there. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel I deserved to be treated special as how I thought it was. And he pushed me and he pushed me and he pushed me. I went out with him on some of his trips that he was sponsoring. And to see my little brother and the camaraderie he had with the other vets on the trips, and just him taking charge and making things happen and making sure that everyone enjoyed that time was just fascinating, because it was another push in the right direction I needed to heal. I went out with him on some of his trips, and that was a huge step for me because it was another push in the right direction I needed to heal. My brother came through a few months ago. He told me, hey, Hometown Heroes Outdoors has a trip coming up to Maine for a moose hunt. Put your name down. And after a while, about 2 months later, I got a phone call. On the other end of the line was David Gray from New Hampshire, the leader of the Hometown Heroes organization in the Northeast. He informed me that I had been picked to go on the moose hunt, and I was very excited. But there's still feelings of guilt, still feelings of not being worthy enough. But I had looked back and I'd look at what my brother told me. But I looked back at the times my brother had pushed me to do things. But once again, my brother, a couple of friends, family, they kept pushing me. I packed up my truck, and after about a 22 hour drive, I ended up in Bridgewater, Maine at Smoldering Lake Outfitters. And it's just been fantastic. The owner, his wife, and all the guides and all the other veterans that have come together, feeling like family, and just coming together, being able to heal, talk to one another, help one another. And it's just another great experience that I know will have a lasting impact on me and make a difference in my life.
Brent and guides venture to a new location. Just before dawn, a bull moose is spotted. It slips away into the woods. Shortly after, a calf and cow emerge nearby. But they are in a nature preserve. As they head back to camp, a bull moose is observed in town, smiling at Brent. Even though a moose wasn't harvested, it was time well spent. Healing in the great outdoors.
As veterans, we need to heal. We were at war for 20 years, and a lot of things happened that upset many of us. Yes, I will always think I should have been the one instead of Chris, but these events are giving me an opportunity to live life that Chris would want me to live. I would imagine he'd be proud of me earning my history degree. Be pretty sure he'd be happy and excited for me to go on these trips that I've been on. And I strongly encourage anyone that is hurting, please get help. Go talk to someone. Sign up for one of these trips. Hometown Hero Outdoors has so many great events, and I tell everyone I know about it and try to get them to sign up, go on a trip, meet some new friends, have a good time. Whether you catch fish, you get a moose or not, it's a time to heal, and that's what we all need.